The only people that listen to the greatest hits are old people and the mentally disturbed. Truth. Hello. The other day I was driving around in my car and I randomly thought about this question. The question being, what do you typically start with when you're getting into a new artist? Either the first album they came out with, their most recent album, or just like a greatest hits. I have my own answer to this question, but I still just thought it'd be fun to ask the interwebs and see what the people think. I actually got a decent amount of comments back, so I thought it'd be fun today to just read them off, see what we think. Do we agree, disagree? And then I'm going to give my thoughts at the end, but first I wanted to do this just because it sounds like it's going to be funny, so let's do it. I got my handy dandy Starbucks cup that's way too big because I don't know how the sizes there work. I got my trusty answer book right here. First comment, whatever attracts my attention the most. I guess if you stumble upon a single and that attracts your attention, then you probably just go to that album. I think that's what that comment means. I usually start with recent and then backtrack in order. That's interesting. That's like the reverse way I go about it basically, which is giving my answer away. The only people that listen to the greatest hits are old people and the mentally disturbed. Truth. Coolest album cover, duh. I actually want to make another video kind of on the subject of that, so I'll get into that later. But yeah, that's... Tell me you started with Sgt. Pepper without telling me you started with Sgt. Pepper. I put all the songs into a playlist randomly and press shuffle. I like the surprise of not knowing what I'm gonna hear. That makes sense if you totally just want to be immersed in the world of whatever artist or band you're getting into. This just made me think of this, but fun fact, when I was in 8th grade, I had my first iPod Touch, and at one point I took all the music off of it except for every single Kiss album that I downloaded from YouTube. Top to bottom, every Kiss album, even live stuff on there. I don't remember the exact amount of time that my iPod was like that, but for a solid amount of time, dude, in my earbuds in middle school, it was only Kiss. And honestly, if I had an iPod Touch today, I'd still do the same thing.
But you're kind of like a spaceman, huh?
No, actually, I'm a plumber.
That's just usually what I do like once I'm already obsessed, but I like that. You kind of just get a little bit of everything right there. I listened to a random album, mostly coolest album cover name, and if I liked it, I listened to their albums in release order. That's a great answer. Again, we're back to the coolest album cover thing, which I'm gonna cover in another video, but today we're just doing music right now. Bitch. Best album and then second best album. How do you know what's the best if you haven't listened to everything yet, though? Or is that just me being stupid? I don't know. That's a good answer, but it also does depend on if you're basing best off of what other people think versus what like you think is the best. But whatever floats your boat. Depends on the artist or band. Oftentimes I will just hear a random song from a band's repertoire, and then if it's part of an album, then I will listen to the rest of that album. From there, I might move to their other more popular albums. That kind of goes back to that one guy's comment where he said I check the most popular songs, and if I like one, I check that album it's on and listen to it. When I started listening to The Strokes, which is another band I'm obsessed with, I did start with their third album that had You Only Live Once, Juicebox, all that stuff. And then I went back to those first two albums, and I realized, dude, those two albums, those are the ones. Yeah, that makes sense if you just hear a song on a Spotify playlist or the radio or a random like YouTube music video. Just classic discovery right there. You just check out whatever album that song's on. I dig that. First albums mostly. Give me Raw Hunger. If there's a clear standout though. This is the perfect segue to my answer. That's typically where I start too. First albums all the way. But I do understand randomly hearing a song on a playlist or the radio and then just like going back to that album, because if one good song came from that album, obviously there's got to be 10 or 11 more that are just the same. I always just like starting with the first album just because I like hearing where they came from. I like hearing the humble beginnings. I like hearing all the mess ups. I like hearing bands figure their sound out, you know? So that's always where I start, and that doesn't necessarily mean that my favorite album by any band or artist is always the first or the second. That's my answer. I always go first album, and then I just kind of like to go from there. That's once I've like committed to wanting to fall in love with a band that I've like heard some songs and I dig their vibe and everything. So yeah, that's basically it for this video. So now it's your turn. Let me know your answer to this question in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of this. I have a couple more musical, thought-provoking questions like this that I want to ask the great interwebs, and then collect the comments, read them, see what the people think. Just have fun, dude. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.